Dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. You were there. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They're feeling school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki, delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Of course, the Polity is exclusive to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You can't get it anywhere except on the seriously authentic radio dial. Transmitting from the commercial nerve center of Anambra State Onitsha. This is the Polity on Udala Radio, and we're saying welcome to Friday edition of this very program, the 20th of February 2026. We thank you once again for always being there for us, for always joining us on our program. Of course, we know that you enjoyed Bleak Humbly. That talked about prophecies, and now we are transiting to talk about politics, governance, and other things connected to how the country is governed on a daily basis. And we're glad to have you join us this very morning. We always live on our Facebook page on this very program, so you can quickly dash to that very page and join the conversation. You can watch the video, whether you are in the country or outside the country. You can get connected to the program via our official Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You can also check us on Instagram and YouTube on Udala Radio. That's our handle. Then on our website, we also streaming live on our website, www.radiodala.com. You can get on that website and join this very conversation. My name is Franklin Ebek, and we are ready for today's program. I am joined by Tony Odisambeki, the in-house analyst. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Franklin Ebuka. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, in the Anambra. Good morning, in the Onitsha, Donedo. Good morning, in the Osumohu. Good morning, in the Olwaka, in the Oluoyibo, in the Naliyobana Lualo, in the Nona Iya Wasalonjem. Transporters everywhere across, and we also acknowledge even the physically challenged. They are our brothers. Many of them do listen to this very program. We acknowledge your presence, and we acknowledge even the scholars and those who are in different and diverse fields of endeavors. We appreciate every one of you. It's a beautiful Friday, and we thank God it's Friday. And today is the 20th day in the month of February, in the year 2026. A very, very marvelous day. We are still in the month of Lent. Remember, Wednesday was Ash Wednesday. So for those who are Catholics, today will be the first station of the cross. And we thank God Almighty for His mercy, for His grace, for His love, for everything He keeps showering to mankind. His endless mercy. We appreciate God Almighty for everything. Without Him, we are nothing. It's a pleasure. We have got so many political developments and other issues that are communal, but we will be very pleased to know that you are there listening to us, because that's why we are here. We are here because of you. And here is where we speak truth to power. Here is our sanctuary, our altar, where we proclaim the truth, no matter how bitter it may sound. But we are here to do justice to some of these developments. You are welcome, and sit back and enjoy the program.
Okay, interesting. Okay, thank you, Tony, and also thank you to everyone who had joined this very morning. Okay, I have to begin to do this program by looking at what is trending. I just opened X to see what is trending, to see if there are political trends, but none of them. And guess what's trending? I can see AG Baby trending, 2025 Toyota Corolla trending, Ikorodu Selendion trending, B Lord, Moroccan, they are all trending this very morning. So these are the things that many Nigerians are talking about as we speak. But talk about what is trending on the the political space, or what you might see on the front pages of paper this very morning or inside the papers. Here in Anambra State, City Boys were in Oka yesterday, where they met with the governor of Anambra State and they told the governor, the essence of the visit and why they are existing. Aside that, we saw the reinstatement of the lawmaker representing Ayamelung State Constituency, Honorable Ude Mezwe. That was during plenary yesterday that the House reviewed report and found that he had complied with the conditions given to him for him to be readmitted. So by 26th of this very month, he will resume sitting with other lawmakers and he'll begin to enjoy all his entitlement because they have been restored to him. Then talk about somewhere in Abuja, the FCT, where the area council election is going to hold tomorrow. And I understand that about 1.5 million voters are registered to take part in this very election. And it's going to help, he is to host in 6 area councils. And quite interesting. A couple of announcements have been made by the FCT minister. Yesterday, he declared today a work-free day for civil servants for them to travel for the election. He also announced restriction of movement in the FCT, saying that it was approved by Mr. President. I thought it was the police that normally does that, but this time around, the FCT minister, stepped in to do that. Then you go to River State, where the River State House of Assembly announced the suspension on the impeachment process against Governor Siminalayi Fubara, and the deputy saying that they were doing that in obedience to the directive by Mr. President and in compliance with the agreement they reached when Mr. President midwife a meeting or a truce between Yesem Wike and the governor of Fubara of River State. Then we talk about some other things that are developing. El Rufai is still in the custody of the ICPC. In fact, EFCC left him. ICPC picked him up. Like I said yesterday, by the time ICPC let him off the hook, it might be DSA that might pick him up. So it's going to be a long time for him. But I know that he might have prepared for this, knowing that when you open some cans of worms, of course, he might expect the lizards to be around to feast. Okay, so some of these things we're going to see this very morning on the papers by the time we begin to look at the headlines. So we ask you to stay with us as we begin today's conversation. Okay, you are listening to the Polity on the Radio 104.7 FM. On the headlines this very morning, we have a 4 newspapers as usual: the Tribune, the Guardian, Punch, and Vanguard newspapers. And to begin with the Tribune newspaper, the big story there says CSOs ADC Kwankwasia kick over Electoral Act 2026. That story can be found on pages 21 and 22. Then it has some riders. They include: flaws in law will undermine electoral integrity, exclude millions of Nigerian CSOs, wants INEC to publish revised 2024 election timetable, ADC faults presidential assent, claims action hasty, accelerated assent portends danger of unchecked one-party dominance, Kwankwasia movement. Another headline says Pengasson fault Tinubu's executive order, says it's direct attack on PIA's provision. That story is on page 3. Rivers Assembly halt impeachment of Fubara deputy. That story is on page 6. Gunmen attack Ondo community, kill monarch. A sad one on page 12 of the Nigerian Tribune. CDS Army Chief flag off Operation Savannah Shield in Kwara. That story can be found on page 20. Oshun split Oshobo Iwo Ibada Road to 3 contractors for timely completion. That story can be found on page 6. Naira seen extending gains as African currencies hold steady. That story can be found on page 4. I think it was yesterday that Dangote predicted that before the end of 2026 that Naira is going to come to 1,000 Naira per dollar. He wasn't the first person saying that. Femi Otedla was the first person to make that prediction. So we monitor and see whether it's going to happen. But even if it gets to 1,000 per dollar, can we use that to compare what it was like, several years ago when, if let's not even talk about when naira was competing against dollar, but when $1 was about 100 and something naira, can we actually have that again? Okay, so we now get to another story that says pre-competition sex can actually boost athletic performance. Study. That story is on page 8. And with that, we conclude the headlines on the front page of the Tribune. We go over to the Guardian. The first story there says, retract executive order. Pengassin tells Tinubu warns of threat to PIA. That story is on page 3. And the big story is on pages 4 and 5. It says, African leaders, how oldest presidents tighten grip on youngest continent. Talking about Africa, where we have the likes of Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power since 1982. We also have Paul Biya, who has been in power for when God knows, for how long God knows. And he compared to France, where we have Emmanuel Macron, who is in his early 40s. And I read one story saying that Macron was like 4 years when Museveni took over power in Uganda as the president. Okay, another story says NLC fires back at APGC. Jenkins over 6 trillion naira bailout demand. That story is on page 3. Another story says Senate Grail's economic team considers trimming 2026 budget. That story is on page 3 of The Guardian. And that story says Lakurawa terrorists kill 34 in Kebbi communities. Page 20. U.S. troops deployment to fight insecurity in national interest, says House of Reps. U.S. troops deployment to fight insecurity in national interest, says House of Reps. That story can be found on page 20. And that story says Reps to vote on 1999 Constitution Amendment proposals. That story can be found on page 7. CSOs predict apathy as FCT poll test new electoral act in next 2027 readiness. That story can be found on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Another headline says opposition CSOs kick as electoral act amendment widens 2027 fault lines. Check the front page of the Guardian. And then the last story we have on the front page says Rivers Assembly suspends impeachment proceedings against Fubara deputy. That story can be found on page 20 of the Guardian. So let's go over to the Vanguard newspaper and see the headlines. The big story there says Edun raises alarm over rising debt service burden. It can be found on page 19 of Vanguard. It has some riders. Says debt servicing cost now outstrips foreign financing inflows. G24 cross-border payment too costly. Cardoso, members face constrained fiscal space. Marshall. Then you can see the picture story there. You can see the face of Cardoso, the face of Edu, and then it has a caption there that says at G24 technical group meeting. This one says terrorists kill 34 fasting Muslims in latest KB attack. The story is on page 6. 2027 Electoral Act Amendment was credible, inclusive NAS. The story is on page 5. It has a reader that says ADC vows mass mobilization. CSOs say unhealthy loopholes threatening credibility of polls. We are back to square one. MBF. Drivers operating under influence will be prosecuted. Lagos government. The story is on page 10. How many of them are going to be prosecuted? Because almost all drivers drive under influence of something. In as much as somebody might argue that they are not intoxicated, but somebody who wakes up in the morning and before he mounts the steering, the first thing he does is to, get alcohol or send alcohol with sun. That's what they use as brush. That's quite unfortunate. Then we have another story here that says Senate tackles economic team over poor implementation of budget. Is on page 8. How we tracked arrested or were charged attackers. DSS witness tells court. That story is on page 7. They said they use I think it's called geospatial tracking to do all these things using the IMEI in the phone and what have you not for them to track one of the suspect. 6 trillion naira Genco bailout demand, a heist. NLC. That story is on page 9. You know, NLC and Association of Gencos have been trading words. Initially, NLC said that the demand of 6 million they were making is an amount that the government wants to use to settle boys. And Gencos reacted. Now, NLC has fired back. We might talk about this because of this very program. El Rufai spent second night in ICPC custody amid multi-agency probe. The story is on page 8. It has a writer that says, as commission raids residents in Abuja. You can find that on page 26 of the Vanguard newspaper. That concludes the headlines on the front page of the Vanguard. We now move over to the Punch. The big story says Tinubu's executive order. FG states LG's allocation may increase by 15 trillion naira. The story is on page 8. It has a rider. President moves to channel oil proceeds directly to Federation account. NNPC, NUPRC, NRC revenue affected. And Pengasson is not finding this very funny because Pengasson is reacting saying that the president is trying to undermine the Petroleum Industry Act, which is in operation, and at the same time he's trying to discourage investment in that very oil and gas sector. On the other side too, you can see the likes of NLC and some other persons who are trying to read meaning into what is going on now. They are thinking that the federal government is trying to increase revenue that comes to the state, so that the president will be able to buy over the governors, and they will all key into his ambition to return in 2027 because under him they have more money to spend. Another story says Naira hits 2-year high at 1,347 Naira per dollar. The story is on page 22. Interesting. 2-year high at 1,300 and something Naira. This story says DSS invites suspects as wife opens up on Daddy Yata's abduction. That story is on page 7. I don't know what Reno Mockery is trying to achieve because, you know, El Rufai was on TV where he talked about how Daddy Yata was killed. He said Daddy Yata was actually living in Kaduna State, but he was criticizing the government of Kano. So he was saying that anybody who wants to probe the man's disappearance should be talking to the government of Kano because he was hitting hard on government of Kano. And in fact, he even suggested that people might have been sent from Kano to come and pick him up in Kaduna. And after that very statement, Ireno Mokri went and found the wife of the Yata, to interview her, making some comments and what have you not, trying to whip up one sentiment here and there and what have you not. But one thing he said, I assure you that justice is going to be done. He said that they're going to ensure that justice is done. He also said that if the man is still alive, that government is going to ensure that he gets to return to the family. So let's see what happens there. This one says banditry, CDS, Kwara government rally troops as Operation Savannah Shield begins. It's on page 8. Another headline says El Rufai's lawyer protests home raid amid ICPC detention on page 8. And this one says FG defers 70% of 2025 capital budget to 2026 on page 29. And the last story says Aida Tiwa versus Tunjojo, political cold war sparks killing, violence in Ondo. The story is on page 3. 2 persons were killed. That was 2 days ago during the APC local and state congress in that very state. And from what we gathered, the governor of the state and the Tunjojo, who is the Minister of Interior, that they are battling to see who is going to have control of the structure in that very state. That was what led to the crisis and the violence witnessed in that very state. So these are the headlines we have this very morning, and we're going to begin the analysis in just a moment. Stay with us.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, so Tony, let's quickly begin with Anambra State. Just gloss over the 2 developments we have in Anambra State regarding politics. One is the reinstatement of the lawmaker representing Ayamelum in Anambra State House of Assembly. Of course, he was suspended. We talked about it the other day. giving you heads up that he might be recalled. So now it's been confirmed that he has been recalled and all his entitlements have been restored. By February 26, he's going to complete his 3 months, the additional 3 months given to him in November 26, 2025. And we are expecting to return to lawmaking and other functions of the House. Perhaps that could be a relief for him. And then secondly, City Boys were in Oka yesterday where they met with the governor, and they said that their purpose of visit was just to inform the governor of the existence and what their mission was. So Tony, these two things, what are you thinking about the two of them?
Well, there is nothing to gloss much over these two developments, and we know exactly that we are in a political era. Let's begin with that of Isienyi that was suspended about 6 months ago or thereabout, and we condemned his unparliamentary behaviors and dispositions where he decided to choose the social media as the floor of the State Assembly, and then he made comments, utterances that are not deserving of a sitting member of the State House of Assembly. We saw these things coming and we condemned it, and just like I say, he could be seen as a political prodigal son of IMLM local government. The truth remains that we know how his political journey began and the expectations expected of him by his constituents. And if you look at this period, even before now, there are key areas people are not seeing. Before he was suspended, he was not always in attendance during plenary sittings. He has given many reasons why these things were the way they were. Based on constitution, based on threshold, he ought not to have been still called member of the State House of Assembly. Based on attendance, there is minimal threshold expected of an honorable member. And we are told that he did not even meet the minimal threshold. You were sent by your constituents. You cannot make attendance. You cannot even come for deliberations. Your reasons being that if you come, if you wanted to speak, you will not be allowed to speak, and for that you close such window of representation. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I know he's a young man. There's no doubt. It's not about hate. We are speaking sense to people who may not have done what we expected, who may have strayed, who may have derailed. We speak sense to them. We speak wisdom to them. We know very well that politics is what it is. It's a game of numbers, it's a game of interest. It's also a representative form of government. That's what democracy is, representative form of government. And that he has been found wanting in everything. In his representation, in the way and manner he conducts himself. Somebody who was reported to have beaten people, beaten security operatives. Somebody who was reported to have pushed a woman from a moving vehicle. There are many sordid reports about him. Many sordid reports. Who will go on and talk all manner of trash. It is a new dawn for him. But the dent is there. He has created a political dent. It's there. Is one of the things I have canvassed for, that he should be recalled. Not because of him as a person, but because of those he represents, the constituents, the people of Ayamelum, the good people of Ayamelum. They do not deserve this kind of representation. But I'm not here to pass judgment. I'm here to make analysis. So be it the way we have seen it. So let him come back. And he should turn a new leaf. He has pledged to turn a new leaf. Because if he goes to the same character again, the hammer will still fall on him. The hammer will come back on him. He should amend his ways. Build friendship. You cannot be a lawmaker in isolation. You must have that parliamentary relationship with your colleagues. For you to move a motion, for you to sponsor a bill, for you to do certain things, your colleagues must support those causes. If they do not support, their colleagues must support those causes. If they do not support them, it becomes a problem. The point is, this is his own money. even when we know very well that our time is gradually coming to an end. We are talking about the timetable for the election. He has come out. So he has less than or probably approximately 1 year. Their tenure will expire by next year, around June. The house was inaugurated sometime around June, about 3.5 years ago. So their tenure will end up around June next year. He has roughly 1 year and just few months. He can still make something out of this period, but he should bring down his head, as he said, and follow the path of developing IMLM. Ensure that whatever criticisms that you could make about on the development in that area, make it to be constructive in a way that it will bring attention to your place for critical development. That's the most important thing.
Okay, so the City Boys who were in Noka yesterday, what do you think about that?
It's a year of politics. So we saw their coming to inform the governor about the movement. Yes. The Anambra and the Southeast contingents we are seeing in that very picture they took with Mr. Governor. They have made certain statements, and we reviewed one of the statements made by one of them. I think it was Obi Kubana, no, Kubana chief priest, who was saying it is important we align with APC and ensure that whatever we'll get from Mr. President comes to us, that we should be talking about development, we should be talking about this, we should be talking about that, that it is obvious that the president is going to win the election based on what we've seen. And there are those that also agree with him, but there are those that are of disagreement. That is the beauty of democracy. You agree with some, you disagree with some. You may not be in agreement with everybody, but whenever you disagree respectively. When you agree respectfully, because it's important. Not when you disagree, you call somebody all manner of names, you throw stones on the person, cast shadows, say all manner of things because you do not agree with the person. Like I said yesterday, we must be everywhere. Everywhere. Those who are in City Boys, they should remain there. Those who want to belong to other movements, they should remain there. That is the beauty of democracy. And for those who think Mr. President is going to win, if you are a football analyst, most times when a Premier League match starts, you will see some predictive outcome of the match. They will tell you the win percent of the two teams, and even tell you the draw. So if you look at such, or if you deploy such algorithm, the president win higher win percent, not because of anything, but because of what we know. If anybody says yes, he's going to win, the person may be right, but we see situations where in football matches they will bring out that predictive win, lose, or draw. Either you win or you lose, whichever one. So they will bring out these predictive statistics for people to see, based on strength, based on weakness. But in the case of the 2027 elections, the whole odds support Mr. President in coming back. We saw the election. I was discussing with someone yesterday. The person told me, you know what? That signing of electoral act, that passage, was it on Tuesday? It was on Tuesday. Is just the election of 2027. The person was very confident of that we have just had our election. Even when people were disagreeing with the manual part of the proposed or the passed law now. That's what it is, the passed law. Even when some people are disagreeing with the manual backup in the section 60, subsection 3. But it was speedily passed by Mr. President, and many people have been giving interpretations to that. Some feel that that is the election for you. He has come, he has gone, and that's the result. In life, we don't know tomorrow. I will stop at that.
Okay, so do you think that the fact that the governor of Anambra State, he shared the cab with them, the City Boys cab that was presented to him, and I went to, because I have gone to some of the posts to see some reactions, does that in any way suggest an endorsement of the movement?
He has made it open. He's supporting President Bola Tinubu. City Boys movement, they are supporting President Bola Tinubu. They have so much in common. He hasn't hidden the fact that he's supporting President Bola Tinubu. He has said it many times that progressives are working together, and he has promised Mr. President of his support, and the City Boys movement is also supporting Mr. President. They come to also give him that honor and respect. Each share their values. They have the same thing. They are working for the same person. So there's no big deal about it. No big deal about it.
Okay, so I went to one of the posts where this thing was posted, and I saw 300 and something comments in one of the posts. And I'm going to single out the one that was made by a former government official in Anambra State. He served the governor of former governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, talking about James Eze. He said, "Na Igbo people carry the City Boys something for head. Which Southwestern governor has hosted them? Which state chapter of the movement has been as noisy as this?" And he says, "Ikebro." So, is it just noise? This City Boy thing, is it noise, or that people on the other side who have failed to accept them as political choices are just trying to make them appear as if they are nothing?
Well, the City Boy movement, we know how we do things here in Igbo land. We have made almost everything to be ceremonial, cultural, and flamboyant. We have made things to be that way. Somebody will be having a house warming party, somebody will be having a birthday ceremony, somebody will be having any event. Most of these billionaires, multi-millionaires you see around, once they have events, it becomes talk of the town. That's one thing about Igbos. They throw money up and down in most of these events. That is one of the things they are known for. They are flamboyant in style, in nature, and these things also attract envy. So it is not surprising that we are seeing that associated with City Boys. You cannot detach it from the way we do our things. If you talk about even the other movement, obedient movement,
The Village Boy.
you will see that it is even more pronounced here in the southeast. Where else is it pronounced? If somebody says that the City Boys thing is so much noisy here, the other one is also noisy here, because that's the way Igbos do their things. You cannot segregate one from the other. And why it is strategic here is the fact that Southwest is already gotten by Tinubu. He has pocketed his Southwest. Lagos is debated anyway. But outside Lagos, then other part of Southwest seems to be in his pocket. He doesn't need to make so much noise about that area. So where he's consigned is South, South, and Southeast, where he failed woefully in the last election. So he's consigned to see what he could do to penetrate these two zones. Very important. He still rely and backs the support he had in the north the last time. Whether it will still remain the same, nobody knows. But he has got so many political allies. We saw what happened in Adamawa State when he visited Adamawa State for project commissioning. As we speak now, many people don't even know that Fintiri is still in PDP. The governor of Adamawa State. We saw him, the way and manner he hosted Mr. President. And the information we have is that he is defecting to APC. And even remember, why Wike is busy having problems with other gladiators in PDP, likes of Makinde, and you can call them, many of them. When Wike's son graduated in one of the universities in UK, Fintiri was there. He was with him. We saw Fintiri behind Wike when they took the pictures they took. What does that tell you? What does that signify? It tells you that they are working together. And remember, Fintiri is the governor of Adamawa State. Adamawa State is where Atiku Abubakar is from. And Adamawa State is also where Nuri Badu is from. You can see these things. And Fintiri has committed to work for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu against his bosom friend Atiku Abubakar. Would you not call Fintiri a sellout? I have not seen people direct attacks at Fintiri for not working for Atiku. He is also from his own state. And if you look around, Atiku brought Fintiri up politically. We may not even understand. I can go back to history and tell you the roles Atiku played in Fintiri's political life. But today, he is supporting President Bola Tinubu, not even Atiku, and nobody's attacking him.
Okay, so Tony, I've been thinking about the noise about the city boys, and when I talk about the noise, I talk about the noise coming from the city boys themselves and the attacks coming from people from the other side. And I was thinking about what could be the possibility, because for me, I don't believe in people making noise here and there, jumping from one place to the other, saying this without taking action and deploying strategies. And yesterday I wrote a piece called "The Common Man's Approach to Politics," whereby the common man sees the elite as doing the service doing the service to the community or to the nation by trying to align with elite for them to continue to exploit the gaps we have in the system and continue to perpetuate inequality. Then I think about the village boys movement that has been formed. In fact, let me even give credit to A1, MC A1, who formed the village boys movement. In fact, should I call him the convener? And people are trying to key into it. But beyond forming the village, the village boys movement, I was thinking about the practical thing that those who are on the side of Obi can do, or what they can do to correct the mistakes of 2023, or even widen their entry into areas where they did not have reach. And I sat down, I looked at the number of polling units we have in Nigeria. We have 177,000 plus. And the actual figure is 176,846 polling units across Nigeria. And I was thinking about these people who are on the side of Obi, if they want to deepen penetration, can they form something like a polling unit based group or movement whereby you have these very small units or small structure, and the mandate should be ensure that you deliver like 100 votes per polling unit across Nigeria. And if they will be able to do this, they can be guaranteed of 60 million votes.
Well, talk is cheap, and I have said it many times. Talk is cheap. It's one of the cheapest things one can ever imagine. Well, you've made your point, and then the piece you wrote, the approach to politics, especially how when it relates to both the elites and the common person. But you've thrown a big challenge. If you look at the last election, the 2023 election, we were told that P2B did not have, or Labour Party, let me not call somebody by his name, Labour Party did not have agents in many polling units. When you don't have agents in these polling units, nobody accounts for your results. Your results could be up for grab. Just like you pointed out earlier on, when it was reported that 41,732 polling units had no officially submitted Labour Party agents before the election deadline. Do you know the figure we are talking about? About 41,000 plus polling units had no agents. Nobody account for the results. So you want things to be the way it should be when we know we have a lot of electoral flaws, electoral decadence. Now the question is, you are talking about those who can form the polling booths or the ward belt to see that this happens even when agents are not there. Nigeria is a very big country, and if you look at the number of polling units you called, 170 something or thereabouts, and you have no agent in 41,000 plus, it's a big sign that the elections as conducted across the country may not be ready in some parts. And these areas talked about are mostly in the northern part of the country. And the APC had agents in every polling unit. The candidate of APC or the APC had agents in all, not even one. What does that tell you? Those areas you had no agents, anything can happen there. People were surprised that even when P2B did not have agents, he was able to pull these numbers. You can imagine when that's by theory, when he had agents. talk is cheap. Some of these people who come online to shout this, to shout that, many of them do not have voters card. And this time around, one of the amendments we have this period is that even without your voters card, you can still do what? You can still cast a vote. We have said these things many times. It's not about making noise. On social media has no polling votes. I have said it has no polling booth. When we are talking about even Anambra State election, I came here and predicted the outcome of the election. Many, we are on social media, online, shouting, nay, nay. Today, what happened? And one thing I've discovered is that those who are either opposing this person or that, they are always active online. But they are not active at the polling unit. They are not active there, but they're active online. And they expect manners and miracles to happen. These things don't work the ways and the manners you want them to work. I've said it many times. 2027, let's see if these anomalies will be corrected. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a candidate to defeat in 2027, judging by the fact that everything seems to be working in his favor. He has deployed different strategies. Look at empowerment we talked about the other day. Some would say that even if he does this empowerment, it's not a guarantee that those who receive those empowerments will vote for him. But even when we know it's not a guarantee, but you see a fraction from those who receive the empowerment that will vote. It counts to the ones the empowerment may not even cover. Over 10 million.
Last time we talked about this issue of structure that many people have not understood these days. Like this very empowerment they're going to do, because city boys are going to do empowerment. And the way it's going to happen is this. As they're doing the empowerment, they are using to build this very structure, because what they want to do is to, let's say if I come to Ogidi, if I'm going to empower like 50 people, for instance, they should be able to secure assurance for about 40 persons that you are like already secured votes. And this is what they want to, what they plan to do around. And whether we like it or not, whether we are suffering or not, people will still go there very well. That's a fact. So what we're saying is that if you oppose to what city boys are doing, or if you oppose to whatever anybody is doing in alignment with the government of the day, it does not end with talking. You have to put in the work. And the work is that you have to go to the grassroots. You have to roll up your sleeves, go and work. If you are like 50 in number, and you are saying this is not going to work, this is not going to work, and all of you are able to secure like 100 persons who you are short of them on the election day, those persons are going to vote for your candidate, then that means you are doing the work. But if we all just talk, retire to our homes, talk to our homes, at the end of the day, nothing is going to change. Because I looked at the mathematics. The Southeast has 21,630 polling units. Let's even assume that if we go to every polling unit, we are going to secure like 100 votes per polling unit. That should be just around 2.1 million votes. So you see that it does not end with just speaking about it within these very circles. You have to move beyond Southeast. You have to go into the South. You have to go Southwest. You have to go Northeast, and ensure that you're able to build good structures across board so that you'll be able to get what you want.
I'm waiting by the time we get into the next issue we may be talking about, maybe the council election coming up in Abuja, who will now try to sway the preparations of these political parties, the ADC, the APC, and other political parties that will be participating. And we look at how prepared they are. And we can tell you so much that even when we know that area council is a very small area compared to Nigerian election, but it's conducted by INEC as well, who were able to sway one or two things and check how popular these candidates are. And trust me, the candidates they have campaigned for, different candidates, I mean the political gladiators, we saw people campaigning for ADC candidates, we saw Atiku campaigning for ADC candidates, we also saw Yeson Wiki campaigning for the APC candidates, and we know very well that by the time, I don't know, because the campaigns are over today. The campaign stopped late last night because the election is tomorrow. The president did not even campaign for any of his political party candidates. He did not campaign for Any of them. But Wike did that for him with APC Abuja. We saw that. Well, we'll look into that critically by the time we get into that. I have said it many times. Talk is cheap. You must back it up with any action that will support whatever cause you believe in. And have always preached political and choice liberalization. Anybody who makes any choice, leave that choice with the person. We must not all agree at all times. We may have political differences, yet we are still brothers. So we must respect political differences one may have with anybody, but work for the interest of the region. The interest of the region could also come either this way or that way. What the region needs, I'm talking about Southeast, is development to be on the map where it should be. There are things we are lacking here. There are so many things we are lacking. We must stabilize this region. We must ensure that we have. I listened to the Southeast Regional Summit the other day. Beautiful speeches. We said these things here. The issue of rail to connect the entire 5 capitals in the Southeast. Marvelous. The issue of bringing investment back home. Marvelous. And at the same time, to support this investment, we must put up certain infrastructures to support trade, to support commerce, to support leisure, to support investment, to support some of these things. And some of these things can either be gotten politically. You get almost 80% of these things politically. You cannot get them when you sit back and expect these things to come by themselves. You get these things politically. So in going about this, either this way or that way. But most important thing is to get some of these things that will help better our lives here in the Southeast.
Okay, so let's talk about the council election in FCT, because tomorrow is going to happen. The preparation has been on all this very while, but tomorrow is going to be the D-Day. And I must say that in 24 hours, all eyes will be on the area council election in the FCT. And the INEC chairman, talking about Professor Joash Amopiton, that's going to be the time for him to test the newly signed legal framework for election, which is the Electoral Act of 2026. Of course, we talked about the assent, which Mr. President granted to that very amended bill that was 2 days ago. Now, that same tomorrow, INEC is going to conduct by-elections in River State for 2 constituencies. One is for Ahoda East 2 and then Kana 2 state constituencies. And there's also going to be by-election in Kano State for the Kano Municipal and the Ugogo State constituencies. All these are going to happen tomorrow. And from what we gathered, INEC has already commenced deployment of sensitive materials. It began yesterday evening, and it happened before the security agencies, political parties, civil society organizations, accredited observers, journalists. They were all present to monitor this very process. In fact, even the ballot papers, result sheets, BVAS machine, all of them, these people observed the way they were being deployed yesterday. And from what we gathered, the poll represents a very high stake test for both administrative efficiency on the part of INEC and then the integrity of this very institution. And like we mentioned, some parties are taking part, some are not taking part. In fact, as of yesterday, 2 PDP candidates had stepped down for APC candidates. And guess what? Yeson Wike, who is of the PDP, is campaigning for APC candidates. So I don't know how to explain this. And what have you not? So, Tony, election tomorrow, council election tomorrow, by-election tomorrow, under a new legal framework. What are we expecting?
Well, we are going to test the new Electoral Act signed into law by Mr. President. And we are going to text quite a lot of things. It's going to be texting the microphone for the 2027 general election. But we are not going to use the outcome to conclude that it will be that way. But it's going to be texting the microphone. Let's talk about the local elections coming up tomorrow in area council. I remember very well that the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as we know, the first election conducted there was in 1996. That was the very first election conducted in that very area. Remember, Nigeria adopted Abuja as its capital in 1991, even when we know that the whole concept began in 1975. That was when the concept under Murtala Muhammad, when Abuja was chosen to be the capital of Nigeria, and the process began, the legal framework, the development, everything started, but the migration was done in 1991. And the first area council election we had in Abuja was in 1996. And we saw that election, it was conducted by Sani Abacha. And we have seen subsequent elections since that period. We saw the one in 1998, which midwife the current democracy we are practicing. And we have seen other dispensations, even the one in 2004. So we have had so many elections in FCT. FCT has 6 area councils. They function similarly to local government areas in other states. In other states, they are called local government areas. But under Federal Capital Territory structure, they are called area councils. But they function similarly with the local governments. They are not called local government, they are called area councils. They handle grassroots issues, as we know, like waste management, market, primary education, primary health centers, development, and even security. These are some of the things they handle. Local economy as well. They bring in bylaws, regulations that regulate some of these things at the local level. We have this area council, we have Abuja Municipal Area Council, which is the one many people know much about, and most of our politicians, they live under Abuja Municipal Area Council. We call it AMAC. That's where many of them live. Apart from those that live in the side, I think Babalada, Buare, Kuje, probably whenever you hear Kuje, what comes to mind is Kuje prison. Because Kuje is very close to Niger State. Remember, Abuja is surrounded by some of these northern states. You have Niger State, you have Kaduna, and you have so many of them surrounding, even Kogi. They are the state that surround Abuja. INEC told us that 17 political parties will be participating in tomorrow's election. Just as we said earlier on, they have 6 area councils, they have 62 wards. And because they have 62 wards, they are going to have 62 councillors. But political parties fielded councillors. I mean, those who will be contesting for councillorship positions. So in total, about 637 candidates, inclusive of the chairpersons, the vice chairpersons, and councillors. We've seen these political parties, APC, of course. We have ADC too. Even ABGA. ABGA fielded candidates. Even the New Nigerian People's Party, the NNPP. But I'm looking to see if Labour Party fielded candidates, but I cannot see. I didn't see candidates of Labour Party, but I see candidates of Zenith Labour Party.
INEC turned it down because of the election wahala.
That is it. And one party we're very well sure that they will not have candidates will be PDP. But PDP, trust me, they have candidates. PDP fielded candidates, but we don't know. We know this one Wike's PDP faction fielded candidate, and INEC accepted it. But INEC did not accept candidates from Labour Party under Nenadi Usman, even when they acknowledge in principle that Nenadi Usman is the caretaker national chairman of Labour Party. So why double standard? Without question, these are things that are pointing to what I have been saying, the odds. When I say odds, remember what I mean by that. So that is where we are. But my concern is the voter turnout FCT is known for. If you look at the last election we had in FCT was in 2022. That was the last area council election we had in FCT. And in that election, APC won 6 councils. PDP won 6. APC won 3 councils. PDP won 3 councils. In fact, they share it equal. APC 6, PDP 6. That was in the last area council election. And the turnout was 9%. 9%. Do you know how the number of registered voters we have in FCT? We have about 1 point something million registered voters. 1,373,492 or thereabouts. That's the number of registered voters we have in FCT. But if you look at the number of those that would come out for election, about 334. And that gives you about 9% when it comes to voter turnout. So there is always voter apathy in FCT council election. And I'm aware that the area council with the highest voting population from the records I have here is Buhari local council or area council, the Buhari council. I think is followed by, if I'm not mistaken, Gwagwalada. And after Gwagwalada, you have Kuje. And after Kuje, you have I think when it comes to highest registered voters is Amak. That's Abuja Municipal Area Council. That's when it comes to highest registered voters. So that is Amak, not Buhari. But we know very well that it's recorded one of the lowest turnout in the last election. So Amak is the Ferric Area Council that has the highest registered voters. When you talk about Amak, you have places like Asokoro, Maitama, Wuse, Gariki, Barempa, even Otako, even Jabi, Guzape, Katampe. These are places you have in Amak, that is Abuja Municipal Area Council. You can also have Mabuchi. Mabuchi is within that very area. Even Nyanya. These are even Lube, Kubwa extension, because Kubwa has extension. And even Zuba, the fringes of Zuba. So that's for Amak. It covers many of these cities, beautiful cities you have in Abuja. But do not forget places like Buhari Council area, which is also following. If you talk about Buhari, you also have another part of Kubwa. The other one, the Kubwa extension, falls within Abuja Municipal Council area, but the main Kubwa falls within the Buhari. You have so many of them. Kawu, Kikumi, Kago, Pico. There are so many of these towns in Buhari. Many of them are known. You're going to talk about Gwagwalada. There are so many of these settlement of areas in Gwagwalada, even Gwako, Dagere. Many of them. There are so many of them. You can even recall, I know about Agota, Angua, Hausuwa. There are so many of them in that area. So Abuja has different number of areas and different languages. These people, these places, we have people who are from these areas. But we have settlers. We have those who have come to join them. But we also have those who have left their places in the southeast. They all live in Abuja. Most of our political gladiators, they live in Amak. We are going to see what's going to happen tomorrow. 19 political parties with major exclusion like Labour Party, that INEC turned down their candidates for area council chairmanship and vice chairmanship and councillors in the 62 wards, is going to be texting the microphone. We saw Wike dancing with some of these candidates. There was one of the candidates that Supreme Court returned. I think it was the candidate for, is it Kubwa? He was removed by APC. The young man went to Federal High Court, Inyang, returned him as a candidate. Appeal Court threw him out, only for Supreme Court to maintain he's a candidate. And it was 2 days ago, if not for yesterday, that I saw Wike now trying to mend peace between him and the other person that was removed by the Supreme Court. And it was, for me, Mexican after that, because Wike was trying to take the credit that he was the one who mediated peace between the young man.
Okay, so Tony, now from what we have seen, because in about 4 days now, I have read different reports coming from INEC whether they are going to deploy this mandatory transmission of a result electronically or not. But one thing that is sure is that BVAS is going to be used and they are going to deploy IRA. But there are concerns that at the end of the day, INEC might not get involved in this very mandatory electronic transmission of result. Do you see INEC doing this, or perhaps it might skip it?
While INEC has said that they will transmit all the results electronically, and these results will be viewed on the INEC result viewing portal, IREV, they have given their works. But I see them doing that. You know why? They have nothing to lose. INEC usually takes position if there is a major conflict within some political blocks. But they have said they will do that, and they will do it. Because if you look at how many polling units are we going to talk about in that election, FCT, as I know, has about, I think, above 1,000 polling units. It will be very easy, very, very easy for INEC to do just that. They don't have any reason not to do it, and I'm suspecting that they would do it, judging by the fact that everybody is tipping APC to win most of this area council election. Many people are tipping APC. We've seen the presidential candidate of Labour Party in the last election, P2B, he campaigned for many of these candidates. We see how they will turn out, because we've seen historically most candidates he campaigned for, they never made it historically. And he hasn't campaigned for candidates to an election and they eventually won, unless that chains will be broken. But historically, that's the way it is.
Except in 2023, where we had this very bandwagonism, where all the candidates who were involved alongside him in that election.
No, these were those
they
who
had a.
Yeah.
It's talking about the ones he campaigned for
cycle
when
elections.
he wasn't on the ballot.
Yes, that's what I mean. Thanks for pointing that. I'm not talking about those who rode on his back and we are on the ballot the same day he was actually going for that election. So off-cycle elections, most of the candidates he has campaigned for, we are going to see if that jinx will be broken. I'm seeing INEC to upload some of these results. We're going to follow the elections tomorrow. We are going to view the entire thing. We'll be following the process. We'll be viewing the reporters, and we'll be live here to cover it, because we'll be telling you what is going on in FCT area council election. Let's not say anything, because the people over there, they're in the mood for the election. The campaigns are over, as you can see.
Are you expecting to see a good turnout? Looking at how the Electoral Act was handled, do you think it's going to have any effect on the turnout for this election?
I'm going to see a low turnout. If you look at former elections, overall turnout in 2019 was around the 11 to 15%, except Buhari, that had about 19.7% turnout. If you look at 2016, it was around between 20 to 25%, higher than 2019, and it keeps going down. The one of 2022 was 9% turnout. It has been going down on a steady downward trend. It tells you a lot. People are losing confidence. Very, very well. People are losing confidence. So we are going to see to some of these things. So PVC wouldn't be just the criteria. Once you've got your name as a registered voters, you have to really use other identification means if you don't have your PVC to show that exactly you are a registered voter. And other things we follow. There is public holiday. We talked about it already in Abuja. You thought that it was going to be the police. It's usually the governor who declares things like this. But recall, FCT has no governor. And that is why INEC is conducting digs. They don't even have any board, electoral board. Everything about FCT is administered. National Assembly makes law for FCT. Makes law. National Assembly. They make law for FCT. FCT, they don't have governor. Wike is just a minister, an appointee. And he cannot see himself as the governor. He was the one that announced the public holiday on behalf of Mr. President. He said Mr. President approves of it. So Mr. President is the de facto governor of FCT. That's what it is. Mr. President is the de facto governor. We borrowed it from United States of America. Remember, before Washington DC became their capital, they had different capitals scattered in different places at different time.
Before we leave this, so what do you make of Wike's cross-party alliance? Because as he stands now, of course, we know him as a PDP member, but he's campaigning for APC candidate. In fact, he got a certain PDP candidate to step down for an APC candidate. And when the PDP candidate was announcing his withdrawal, he said that the minister convinced him to step down for the APC candidate.
Well, the truth remains that I think it has to do with Buhari, chairmanship candidate who was alleged to have stepped down for APC candidate. These things were fast. The truth remains that Joshua Echaku was returned as the candidate of APC by the Supreme Court. Julius Adamu was the candidate of PDAPC. He was seen as candidate of PDP. He was also seen as candidate of APC. But the Supreme Court ruled on who is the candidate of APC, not on the candidate of PDAPC. What they were trying to do is to do window dressing and to tell us that Julius Adamu stepped down for Joshua Echaku when the matter was decided by the Supreme Court. I don't want to go deep into this, but it was window dressing. You can't use somebody to be candidate of this party and at the same time candidate of that party. It's allowed because a party can decide to adopt anybody as a candidate. But if in adopting that person, you don't feel the person's name, you adopt the person in principle. You tell your followers to vote for that person, that the person is your virtual candidate. But you are not going to feel it because you are not expected to be in two political parties at the same time. Our law does not allow anybody to be a member of two political parties at the same time. You can only be a member of one political party. You can also be disqualified for being a member of two political parties when the evidence is there.
You know, the candidate you mentioned, which is the PDP chairmanship candidate for Buhari Council, Julius Adamu, apart from him, then there's another person, chairmanship candidate of PDP, Zadna Dantani.
Yeah.
He also announced that he's going to step down for the APC candidate Christopher Zaka Maikalongo in that Abuja Municipal Area Council. So we get to see how this is
happen.
And then the by-elections that INEC also has to conduct in Rivers State and then in Kano State, two state constituencies. We'll see how they're going to go about those things.
Definitely, we'll see how these things will happen. Recall that also a senator from Rivers State died in Piggy. We saw him dancing with Wike in one of the events they had in Rivers State. He was the one dancing the other side. When you look at the video, he died yesterday. So
to wrap up this, in Rivers State yesterday, the assembly announced that they were suspending impeachment proceedings against Fubara because they needed to comply to the directive of Mr. President. So we are we seeing peace finally taking place in Rivers State?
Those guys are very funny. You know, when I saw that Wike had said they would comply, they have no reason not to comply with Mr. President. That tells you that they are Wike's puppets. I don't see them as assembly members. I see them as Wike's political puppets. Whenever they are pressed, if Wike programs them this way, they go this way. If he programs them the other way, they go the other way. We don't have any reason to fault anybody. This is politics. Wherever your belly face, you also face there. You call those people that represent their constituents. They are representing Wike in Rivers State House of Assembly. So it's expected. Their master has called them, hot everything. Because Mr. President has directed. They follow what they have their own independent mindset. Those that even came at one point to speak and say they are withdrawing from the impeachment, didn't they go back again when they were pressured or prevailed upon? Don't mind those people. They are in politics to make money. For them, politics is a career. For them, politics is business. So what they did was in fulfillment of what they were asked to do. They waited for this period to do that, and they got it done. We know agreement has been struck again many times. Let's see if it will be broken. But the major thing that can lead to these nascent agreements being broken could be if Wike goes on to campaign against Fubara that he will not be the candidate of APC for the next election, or either support him or not supporting him. He was asked to cease to talk about who you will support or who you will not support. That is not time. So, Fubara for him, as once you don't talk about me not contesting, I won't say anything about whatever that is going on.
Okay. We're going to go for a commercial break, but once we return, we take 2 minutes to talk about this very, should I say, exchange of word between NLC and the Gencos over a bill that could be worth about 6 trillion naira. NLC is asking for what? Is it for to settle boys? Why should we pump in such a money into a sector that was privatized at this time? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Opa Chichane Tozialo. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, Chichane Nyandu. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, and in town. Wendy's bread, you get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your chichama. Wendy's bread,
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Creative Builders Global Resource Limited for your business growth and the marketing strategies. Wow! Creative Builders Global Resource Limited is presenting a financial bootcamp 2026 with wonderful topics on 1. How to make money while sleeping. 2. Modern marketing strategies for business growth. 3. The hidden benefit in real estate business. Itoroka business gate na aga koma. Itoro inwete business opportunity ndi ozo. Aga etinye na business ina emebu. Ifunisi ya na nwete go riri nne ngwabịaba na program a ka anyị gwa gị ife ị ga-eme. Anyị na-emekwa real estate business igoro ala n'aka anyị anya rụọlọ gị ụlọ tikwere gị ọkụ sola. Mmemme a ga-ebido na Sunday 22nd February 2026 by 12 p.m. Okpọtụba 12 p.m. na Sharon Hall, All Saints Cathedral, Onitsha. Facilitators Dr. Oluebube Olusegun Sobesan, ICT Head, Onitsha Business School, Freshman J of Radio Sapienza, Chisom Chinedu of Udala Radio. Signed by Creative Builders Resource Management. For more information, call on 0911 786 9377.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, you are listening to the Polity on the Radio 104.7 FM. It's 10:29 a.m. and we're going to quickly talk about what NLC said about the money being demanded by Gencos. NLC has launched what one can call an attack on power generating companies, Gencos, over the reported 6 trillion naira demand and proposed a 3 trillion naira federal government bailout, saying that this move is seen as a heist and an attempt to loot public funds. According to NLC, these Gencos cannot transfer their operational failures to Nigerians. So, Tony, what is this big all about?
If you go by the background of this very development, we know very well that Nigeria's power sector, privatized in 2013, faces chronic issues. And the Gencos are making claim that they are owed over 6 trillion naira in unpaid invoices for generated energy, entitling them to about 60% of market receivables. And if you look at the Association of Power Generation Companies, they reject even the NLC's claim. They have said that their books are open for audit They have blamed systemic inefficiencies like poor distribution and tariff shortfalls. Joe Ajero called the original 400 billion privatization a conspiracy that ballooned into this demand, accusing it of being a phantom subsidy to settle the boys ahead of 2027 elections. Well, this echoes this ongoing debate over subsidies, with power supply averaging, would I say 4,000 megawatts? Not even up to, but we can say 4,000 megawatts, despite Nigeria having about 13,000 megawatt capacity. Well, it is not bad if NLC is demanding transparency, and the Gencos are saying their books are open for audit. Well, NLC is also urging the Gencos to publish owners before seeking bailout. Some of these generating companies, we know many of them, but NLC wants to know the owners of these generating companies. If you say these things are bailout, how is it bailout? Because these people are saying this money is owed to them.
Yes, because that seems to be the issue, whether it's actually bailout coming from the government or government is paying what it owes the generating companies.
I know NLC may be faulting the time. Now, election is drawing near. Anybody who thinks government owes it for one thing or the other, government seems to be committed in making such payments. The question is, why? And we are talking about the 2024-2025 budget. We are told that the capital components of these budgets have not been funded. If these capital components of these budgets have not been funded, more reason why we've not seen many projects going around the country as a result of unfunded capital components of the budget of 2024 and 2025. That's why some of these capital budgets we are wired into the 2026 budget. I followed some of the budget defense we had a few days ago. The Minister of Economy, the coordinating Minister of Economy, was asked the same question. Why is 2024 budget capital component and 2025 budget, why are they not funded? I also listened to Zacchaeus Adedeji, the tax master general of the country, and he was saying that some of these budgets are bogus. They are unrealistic. That you have to make budget to be realistic. You have to look at expected revenue, match it with the projects you must keep in place, even when you must have attended to the medium-term expenditure framework, the fiscal strategy paper, the FCP. He talked about so many things. The revenue target, saying that they have been able to meet some of these revenue targets, but if you look at the budget, it is ballooned. It's so swollen. I listened to their defense yesterday. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? They didn't make any sense to me, because if I were there, I would have asked some critical questions. But I'm not there. Well, the point is, why is government committed in settling the Gencos? Gencos have been crying over this unpaid volume over a long time, I'm aware. But settling them at this point, when we know capital component of the budget has not been funded, is it the right thing? Or you want to pay some fractions where NLC is accusing government that you are just trying to make sure that they have money in their hands for 2027 presidential election? These accusations are neither here nor there. Why would you also accuse somebody who has been owed for a very long time the moment of payment because of election is coming up? Because I know very well, meanings will be read in some of these things, interpretations will be read in some of these things. The truth remains that Gencos are owed. But I would also suggest that before this payment, let the accounts be audited. Very important. We have Auditor General of the Federation. I don't know the kind of audit he has been rendering to different ministries, parastatals, departments, and agencies of government. I have not seen this to be something like routine in nature. The argument is neither here nor there, but there is need for ensuring that transparency is entrenched in some of these demands.
Okay. Let's open the phone lines now to bringing callers into this very conversation. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Don't forget you can as well use our social media platform, the Facebook page, to make your inputs. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Franklin.
Yes, good morning. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
My name is Maruki.
Go on.
Let me talk about the city boys. To me, they are a bunch of noise makers. Yes, they are. And concerning the angle Mr. Speaker analyzes, I will disagree to a certain level. I wonder why it should be Igbo boys to spearhead this particular thing. Yes, he made an analysis of bringing the governor of Adamawa State and Atiku. I heard what he said there, but this one is a very big difference. How? We, Igbos, we are part of Nigeria, and since Second Republic, an Igbo man has never smelled that particular seat. And we have a very good candidate. This time around, very beautiful opportunity, which some of the country supported us. And you now want to deviate from it. Any Igbo man who is trying to run away from this, honestly, to me, it is a sellout. It's a very big sellout. I just see maybe we are part of the North, that they have been having it so many times. I will not complain. You divide your vote to wherever you want. But this time around, we have never smelled, and we watch the way they are making sure that we will not smell that thing. And some of us are trying to perform saboteurs. To me, if they like, they spend 10 trillion. They will not get. Honestly, it is only them and their family. Even to convince their family will be difficult. I'm telling you the truth. So to me, they are noise makers. Thank you very much.
Okay, so but Marike, you might be surprised because when I talk about election in Nigeria, election is quite something very intriguing. That you might think you are with Mr. A on the same issue. On the election day, the person go leave you behind. Hello.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. You're welcome on board.
Good morning, Dr. Tony Olisambeki.
You're welcome.
My name is Ogochukwu, all the way from Udala State.
Go on.
Tony, I want to correct an impression here. P2B was supported somebody in an election, the person won the election. Tony, let me catch your mind in 2015. P2B supported Senator Uche Ekwunife in 2015. And Ekwunife won the election, P2B was not in the ballot. P2B has defeated your former station located at Obusi in 2015 campaigning for Ekwunife. And Ekwunife defeated Victor in that very election. Let's put the record straight. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you from OD. Hello. Good morning. Are you there? Okay. Try again. Let's see who is there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Franklin.
Welcome on board. Your name?
Good morning. Tony Olisambeki.
You're welcome.
The voice of Honorable the Mayor, JP, Okulora, Ochen, Can I go on?
Yes, you can go on.
Let me first of all, the analysis to get so far. I can say that the government of APC is running criminality government and fraud government. Why do I say this? Now, nobody is sure whether oil subsidy is still going on. Now, this Enco issue now, it is not clear. No clarification about what is going on there. Then, in insurgency, we are fighting insurgency. Nobody can tell you for sure that Nigerian government are not behind the people that are extorting money in the name of kidnapping. Now, you can see that everything about this governance, okay, look at the bill, the amendment bill now. Look at what happened there. Is that not criminality? Is that not fraud? So I want to ask again, can we fold our hands and allow this type of law that was made to use for that election in 2023? Because if this law is being used like that, I'm telling you that the election has been done and nothing can be done about it. The only thing that we see happen that was happened in 2023 meet us in court. Who are the court people? Who are the judges? The sentence. So I want to ask Nigerians to wake up and shine their eyes and come out clear and disown this government because this government is not doing fine. Thank you and God bless you.
All right. Okay. Ide Opojuku from Nobi. Okay. So let's see who we have next here. Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
My name is Josh. Calling from Asaba.
Josh, go on.
To start with, the last time I checked, I believe that Mr. Speaker there is a very good friend to P2B. Because I remember the former radio station, P2B always come there. And both of them discuss very well. I'm a very good listener of radio. So what I'm trying to say, I don't really know why you seize every opportunity to demarket P2B. Yes, I don't know whether I use it to cash fund on or what. You see, P2B supporting somebody and that person refuse to win election. It's not P2B business. It's not. Now we are talking about Abuja election, local government election. We are not bringing the issue that is supporting the candidate and the candidate will let us see. There's no need for that. There's no need. And let me tell you something. If we are bagging all these things that we are bagging, if we are being true to ourselves, this Nigerian election is the kind of election that we dream of. Even you, the journalists, dream of. We'll be saying all these things that we are saying.
So just hold on. Hold on.
How many political parties are coming out now?
Just hold on for a question.
We are not talking about Abuja. We all know it's the same story. So if you let us don't bring that kind of sentiment and discussion.
Josh, can you hold on for a question? Can you hold on for a question?
It's all about rigging and sitting people in. If we are talking about actually.
Josh, when you talk, please. When you talk, can you listen, please? We're having conversation because I wanted to understand. You said he demarketed P2B because I want us to put this in, to put it out there so that we'll be able to explain the marketing. But you were not listening. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
This is Akamara.
Akamara, go on.
Yeah, I'm calling from Fig.
Yes, go on.
All right, I want to react on this council poll that will be conducted tomorrow at FCC.
Yes, go on.
See, for me, I think we're not being practicing normal democracy in this country. Go and mark it tomorrow. You come out and say that all the APC candidates have won that seat. That is exactly what you are going to hear. Because we have been hearing it. The last one we did in Anambra State, you saw what happened. The candidate of Apaga won all the seats. So I don't think, is it not good for all these governors and all these executives to go and pick people who will support them there instead of telling us that they are doing election. And also, if I'm the chairman of all these parties, I will not be my candidate because whatever you are doing there, you are just suffering. You just suffer people, and at the end of time, you will discover that the sitting power will collect all the seats. So, are you telling me it's an election? It's not an election; it's a selection. So telling me that P2B candidates, their candidates are not been winning elections. That is exactly what is happening. They will select the people now and put them there. And tomorrow they will tell you go to court. So we are not doing a normal thing in this country.
All right. Thank you. Hello? Okay. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Good morning. You can also visit our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and you can drop your comment there. Very soon we are going to head to the page to acknowledge the post we have there. Please, when you post, make it clear, and at the same time, add your location to the post. That is very important. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, tell us your name.
This is Sunday calling from a blog.
Go on, Sunday.
I believe FDT election, I have been following it. always either 4-2 or 3-3. Yes, that is where local government elections is always practicalized in Nigeria because they don't have government. I'm telling you, people we did every election. They may share it 4-2, 3-3. Go like that. No matter how good it was.
Your line is distorted.
Hello.
Your line is distorted. We have noise on your line. Okay. If you can call back, if you wouldn't mind, please try to call back because we are having noise on that line and it was interfering with what you were saying. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Your name?
Good morning.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
This is Anthony Meteta. I'm meeting you this morning from Onitsha.
All right. Go on.
Gratefully, when news and analysis have been the listeners read meanings and make postulations as to what is being analyzed. This is to inform most of our responses because one has a right of read meaning into one's analysis of postulations. I want to comment Jenkos being owed 6 trillion naira. For me, when I see this headline 2 days ago, I was unhappy about the so-called subsidy removal because I have always maintained, and I've said it before, that if the subsidy savings that was shared to the governors and they use it at their own whims and caprices, if that subsidy savings, even if it's 1 year subsidy savings or 2 year subsidy savings, is being used to clear the debt of electricity bills being earned by telcos, I think Nigerians would have felt the subsidy removal. So now we are talking about 6 trillion naira now, a huge amount, and the budget that is being swollen up. Where can that kind of amount be used to subsidize? So for me, it was a misplaced of resources in that subsidy savings. FGC area council that is coming tomorrow ignore wicked political capacity as your own disappointment. So we are beginning to see how things are turning. No matter how the people view him, but as you are seeing what is turning out, ignore his political capacity at your own prayer. And as I'm seeing, he's going to deliver Mr. President and justify why Mr. President was in there. I rest my case because of our time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for joining. Okay. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name?
Yeah, it's Chris Ebi from Asaba.
Go on, sir.
Let me talk about this discourse and the Jenkos, whatever they are saying about the money. The thing is that there's another place we have a high-profile corruption in our electricity system. They're demanding for 6 trillion naira for bailout and that debt. Well, it's in their place to make a demand. And then they can also, like they tell the labor people that they should come and look at their books. But the question is now, who is owing them? And why is those people owing them? I remember sometime when they said that the discourse that are owing them this money. And also they make claim that discourse are rejecting power supply to them. So they should also first of all put their house in order, know the irregularities that have caused them such a thing. So to me, what they are just doing is a way of siphoning Nigerian money and then keeping us in spiritual darkness. Nigerians are owing them nothing because they have not performed even up to 10% of what is demanded of them. But I don't know how people who are in positions have to battle this against them.
Okay.
Because at times we think that people in position of power have interest in this money. But to me, as a Nigerian, they are being owed nothing because they have not performed 10% of what is demanded of them.
All right. Thank you. should I say this now? When it comes to our power sector is such an intriguing one that if you look at it on the face value, you might not understand how it runs. Discos are quite different from Gencos, and Gencos are quite different from transmission companies. In fact, in Nigeria, Gencos generate more power than the ones distributed. In fact, they generate in excess, whereby some people are beginning to buy directly from them. So, well, on a very good day, we might talk about that very one.
Just like you said, most times, most of the powers generated may be unused over time. And the spill must be accounted for, must be paid for. And when they generate, even when they're not being paid immediately, some of these transmission company of Nigerians and discos, sometimes they owe them. Power is subsidized, that's what we are told. But we are not saying the power. That's where Nigerians are complaining. If you tell us there is power subsidy, the question is, where is the power?
Okay, so let's go to our Facebook page now. Anoms Emmy says, Tony, you keep saying Igbo should be in all the parties to have better chances politically. APC was formed out of some many different parties like ACN, CPC, and ABGA, which is still running. Please, what became the fate of Rocha Sokorocha, Obunayono, Joy Bokwe? But Buhari has got to call us dot in a circle. And he says those Igbo politicians in APC are just transactional politicians. That's why we can't see them as serious individuals who fight for the collective good of the region. Then Dr. Mrs. Molebera from our said, let our leaders continue with their wrong decisions and wrongdoings. God's ears are wide open, listening to the cries, anguish, and tribulations of the people. Our leaders should realize that the life of the common man is fast becoming bestial, while their confidence and hope in the ruling class is also fast eroding. Let our rulers come to grips with the hard fact that any leadership that does not stand on a sound moral foundation collapses sooner than later. We must all reap what we sow. Then Dandola says he posted from Obosi, Awada Obosi, and my question to those that are saying that Tinubu will still win the election is, who actually won the 2023 election? So the right word to use is that Tinubu is going to be declared the winner again in 2027. I had to edit this very part because I cannot read the way you wrote it. Nanyelugo, Ichien Nanyeluga Bagana from Asaba says, so many issues were raised in your analysis, but my reaction in all of them is that few big men do not have what it takes to be an arrowhead of our region. Tinubu going for 2027 is fake dream, and no one should play with this. Okay, John Ekum says it will shock you that APC will not win majority of the areas, and he's watching from Asaba. I think he's making reference to the council election in FCT. Uche Nanowai, thank you for watching. And then Communion Keke says those that are parading themselves rather are city boys, are only protecting their businesses. They are not out for politics, and that is why I see some of our Southeast politicians as businessmen, and businessmen as betrayers. How many Yorubas and Hausas have formed any political movement for P2B? An Hausa man is supporting an Hausa man, so as the Yoruba. So why can't we the Igbo support our Igbo candidate P2B? And the Florence Masajoa, thank you for watching. Master B says the problem in Nigeria is still facing is the leadership problem. That is why we are witnessing massive exodus of governors and other politicians to the ruling party APC, and it shows significant corrupt practices in the country. He posted from Onitsha. So Tony, maybe from the reactions from here, and then we get to wrap up.
Well, I listened to some reactions, but one thing we must always hold on to will be holding on to facts. And somebody was saying, why are you demarcating this person? You know, there are times many of us don't want to be told the truth. And when you speak out the truth, for you are demarcating anybody. I did not in any way demarcate anybody. Of course, my analysis was pointing out to facts. And somebody said, if your analysis was pointing out to facts, yes, that's what happened in 2015. That P2B publicly supported and campaigned politically for Senator Ikwe Ekunife. and she was declared winner. But remember, the court upturned that very result. Yeah, have you forgotten? Have you forgotten? It was upturned by court. So that was why I didn't.
No, that was a term she served through.
That's what I'm saying.
That was a term she served through.
If you look at what happened, that was in 2019 down to 2023. She served through to that term. But when I think in 2015, towards the ending part of it, I think it was truncated by court. But that's by the way, there was a kind of issue to that. Well, we can always.
She served through that very term. I can remember when it was when, in fact, she was called to come to PDP and take the ticket. I can recall that the man who was holding the ticket was asked to step down for her to run on the PDP platform.
I'm saying the time Victor May went and completed her own very term. I don't know if you understand that there was a time the appeal court quashed her election and Victor May was returned instead. Recall.
No, but it wasn't the election that the person was referring to. I know the election the person was making reference to.
The election we had was 2015, 2019, 2023. And these were the elections we are talking about. Of course, we have to be very sure. There's no doubt. But I'm just trying to, rack my memory and find out which exact election did appeal courts stop her and at the same time bring in Victor May for such completion. But why I try to make that very clear, I can as well address some other things said. We are pointing out to, nobody's underestimating Peter Obi's strength, but we are talking about certain outcomes, certain trends, certain patterns. Yes, I think I'm very much correct because the appeal court stopped the election. The judgment was delivered by the Court of Appeal sitting in Enugu. The court nullified the election. Senator for Anambra Central and ordered a fresh election within 90 days, where she was excluded from that election. We know what happened. So it was
that was in 2017. That was 2017.
Now you are talking about when it happened. Though. The election that brought the judgment in question was the election of 2015. The court was ruling on the election of 2015. You are talking about when that issue, when the court made that judgment. The judgment was made. The period you are talking about, it was for the 2015 election.
That's no. What I'm saying is the election the person was referring to that Obi supported was the last tenure she served before she moved to the APC.
Okay,
as a senator.
Okay, the last tenure she served. Okay,
senator.
Not the 20 because I had 2016. Oh, all right. If that be the case, maybe the person is exonerated. That was in 2019. In 2019, where she served full term. Of course, we have to place these things to be very clear. Because I had 2016, but I know there was no election in 2016. What we had in 2016 was 2015 election. We had the judgment was in 2017, as you pointed out, but it was for 2015 election. But in 2019, she served out her term until what happened. But remember, in 2019, Obi was in the ballot. So you can understand that Obi was in the ballot in 2019. So if Obi was in the ballot in 2019, what I said was still true. That excluding the period Obi was in the ballot. Obi was in the ballot. He was the vice presidential candidate to Atiku in 2019. So he was on the ballot. 2015 it wasn't. The one he supported Ekwunife was upturned by court. If you look at all these things, I'm still correct. Let's leave that. Let's go back to the other issues pointed out earlier. Somebody said, why should I say that people should belong to every... I have explained this yesterday. Yesterday I said, and the person raised the pertinent issues, one or two issues. What happened to Boniono? What happened to Rocha Sekorocha? These are individuals. Individuals, for us, do not develop our locality. We did not vote for Buhari, but Buhari brought Second Niger Bridge. We didn't vote for him. We did not also vote for Buhari, but he was the one that did one lane. If we had voted for him, we would have demanded more. But that is the way Nigerian politics is structured. It is not supposed to be that way. I would say it is not supposed to be that way. He openly said, people that gave me 5% or stuff like that. The point remains that we should be everywhere. It's not about how Okorocha was treated, how Obonyono was treated. The individual treatment remains individual treatment. We are talking about collective development of our region. That's what we are talking about.
All right, so we have to end here. So, Tony, I will end this very well because what I do tell people is this. I'm not I'm not among those who are going to condemn Mr. A, condemn Mr. B, talk. I keep on saying this thing. If what so and so persons are doing do not align with patriotism, altruism, politics is strategy. Onye nke na aga kanni ina aga kepe. Ona aga nke. As the person is making step to outsmart you, you also planning to outsmart the person.
That is just that.
The person is trying to build structures. You're trying to build structure better. But no, I put you here. At the end of the day, it's not going to make any difference. So the thing is, people have to get to work, deploy strategies. Make sure if somebody gives you polling unit, make sure that in your polling unit you deliver it.
That's the most important thing. If you support any candidate, how do you see and ensure that the candidate wins? It's not just noise. If somebody is making this strategy, try to also come up with their own strategy. Try to do whatever. I've seen those who are making some videos, these AI videos, where most times you will see some politicians on a race, and where you see Obi winning, where you will be in a ring. These are ways of their own advocacy. I don't even understand me. It's their way of showing support to their candidate, but it will not end at that. You have to go and internalize it at the polling unit.
Okay.
We are not underestimating anybody's capacity, but the point remains we are telling you trends, things that happened, the way they happened, factors behind these things happening, and why they may likely happen again. That is pattern. That's what we try to discuss here.
All right, so Donny, we end at this very point in time. So we thank every one of you for listening. Next week, Monday, will be another edition of this very program. Good morning.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region. Where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
A city of movement. A city of trade. A city of heritage. From the rays of the sun to the radiant glow of the river Niger. From the echoes of Ose Market to the silent prayers rising from the basilica. This city beats like a drum, loud, proud, and unyielding. And the drum finds